Hey everyone, Scott here, and it's been a while. I've been very busy. Life is very busy. Life is good, but it's very busy. But I do get out and thrift when I get a chance, and that's what this video is about. We're going to look at some of the things I've thrifted when I've had a chance to get out and thrift. And I'm going to break it up into a few videos. In this video, we're going to do Bibles and partial Bibles. So, because I think that has the most appeal to most of you. So let's get started. And this is the most recent one I picked up. This is a New Testament and Psalms. It's a faux leather, red page edges, purple ribbon. That's an interesting combination. Synthetic liner, presentation page. This was presented by the Evangelical United Brethren Sunday School in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, which is in Lancaster County. No name. And it is the King James Version, and it's a National Bible Press of Philadelphia. And if you have read much about Gideon Bibles and you recognize that name, they print Gideon Bibles. I suspect this may be an edition that the Gideons would have also shared, but without their branding. But there it is, double column, and it is incredibly self-pronouncing text. I don't really like this. I don't like self-pronouncing text at all, but I especially don't like when it's getting to the point where it even tells you how to pronounce Mary. You know, that it seems rather extreme. If you look at different, especially King James Version, you'll see, different levels of self-pronouncing text. Holy also has marks. I think even the unholy know how to pronounce holy. Anyways. I think that was $1. Psalms Anew in my notes are falling out of it. I picked this up at the Bookworm Frolic, which happened over the summer for Mennonite Life. It's a fundraiser for them. I think paperbacks were $2 at that event, so this was $2. They count this as a paperback. So anyways, this is a kind of an inclusive language. Oh, it says that at the top. Yes, it's an inclusive language version of the Psalms. If you follow my channel, you've seen me discuss in a couple of videos the Oxford, I think it's called Inclusive New Testament and Psalms. Very similar kind of project. Although, and if you've seen my videos, I'm not a huge fan of Oxford's efforts on that. I think the Oxford is a lot better than this one. And I'd like to do a video on this at some point, so maybe I will someday, but I can show you the inside. You can see kind of what it looks like. There's Psalm 39. It's a nice layout. I like in the spiral binding's nice. Like I could see this being used in church or something, but except that I just don't really care for the translation and the changes they made. I think they do some things that are okay, and they do some things which don't hold up, but anyways, we won't get too deep into that, or we'll be here all day. The Way. So, I've already talked about The Way, the Living Bible, enough in another video, and this is pretty much the same. It is the same exact thing as one I already have. I was hoping it was different, which is why I picked it up. This was $1 at a library sale. More interesting, though, I picked up this recently, the Living Letters, the Paraphrased Epistles. So this is one of the editions they made with just some of the books before they published the entire New Testament and then a complete Bible. This is I think Living Letters was the original paraphrase that he did in 1962, and you can see I paid $2 for this at an MCC thrift store. And I just bumped the camera. Yeah, but this was neat because it is so old. It gives a little information. It was interesting to see some of what they said here early on. I like this first paragraph. People get pretty hung up on how many different translations we have in English and all the differences, and they provide kind of an optimistic take on that. I'll let you read that if you'd like to. I thought it was a nice take on that. They note here there are dangers in paraphrases. And they warn that they may be giving something that the original writer did not mean to say. That's an important thing to be aware of when reading a paraphrase, and I'm sorry if there's noise in the background. I think Mrs. TSB is cleaning upstairs right above my head. Anyways, I feel like you don't see that kind of strong language warning about paraphrases in later editions or in modern paraphrases because, the marketing department probably wouldn't care for it. It's not going to help sell it. They do note the theological lodestar in this book has been a rigid evangelical position, which they note in many editions of the Living Bible. Of course, the thing I'd say about that is evangelical is a very broad term in a big umbrella, so it's not every evangelical is necessarily going to like all the changes they made, and we've seen that, or all the, not changes, but interpretations, I suppose. Anyways. And then they offer the goal, which, again, I think the intentions and goals of the Living Bible are excellent. It's just, and I think it was fine for its time to use alongside King James Version or RSV. We just have better options nowadays, like the NLT that has grown from that. Oh, let's see. Let's save the real nice one for last. Next one, this was another find at the Bookworm Frolic. So I think this was also $2 because if it's floppy, they count it as a paperback. Hardcover would be $3, so it wouldn't have been much more. But this is a Scofield reference edition. So I already have a pretty nice new Scofield edition, which I showed at some time on a video. This is the older Scofield edition, which was when Scofield was still alive and working on it. I am not dispensationalist, or I don't fit into the theological grouping that would depend on this particular Bible and its notes, but it is something that has influenced so much Christianity and how people view end times, things like that, that I wanted a copy to have to look at the notes if I want to. And I'd like to find a nice copy. This is pretty well loved. It's the cover's worn a bit. I think it's leather. There's a lot of markings on the pages. It has a lot of character, I think, as Joe would say. So I'm going to keep looking for a nicer edition, but I didn't want to spend a lot. I saw this, $2. This is exactly what I was looking for. A lot of writing there in Philippians. Somebody was studying hard. That's good. Let's see, was this? We pasted something in here. Studying Scripture. Oh, that reminds me, there's something I meant to show in the Living Letters, and then I forgot. I thought it was marked somewhere if it was leather. It feels like it's probably leather. It could be bonded. I'm not sure. Oxford, of course. Anyways, was happy to find it. For that price, that copy will do the job. This had something interesting in it. Yeah. Look at this. Dr. Scholl's graduated medicated discs to be used with Xenopads. It says it comes with a dozen, and it looks like they're all there. Surprisingly, I don't know how many years this has been sitting in that book. It didn't stain the pages. I'm kind of surprised, but I guess this covering did its job to keep it from leaking out. But yeah, that is old school. Definitely one of the more amusing things I have found. Maybe the most amusing thing I've found in a book. But wanted to get it out of there, but I wanted to show it to you before I did that. Okay, second to last. John Wesley's New Testament Anniversary Edition. So this is really cool. This was another Bookworm Frolic find, hardcover. This was $3. I was raised in the UMC, as some of you know. I'm broadly, I still consider myself a Methodist, even though I'm not in a Methodist church. So we didn't really study John Wesley like we should have in church, unfortunately, growing up. But I've become interested in him in recent years as I've thought more about what it is to be a Methodist. And this was interesting. I knew John Wesley had translated the New Testament, but hadn't really looked at it too much. He also wrote notes on the entire New Testament. Now, if this had his notes too, this would be an amazing resource. I wish it did, but it's just his translation. And you see it notes it's compared with the authorized version, of course, being the King James. So what you get here is, if you use the King James, New King James, you're used to seeing supplied words in italics. This uses italics, but what it does instead is italics indicate where Wesley has a different translation than the King James Version. So, I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but this is Matthew chapter 9, beginning of chapter 9, first verse. So for those of you who want to, you could look up Matthew 9, verse 1, and the King James, and you'll see it's going to say something a little different than going into the vessel. Also, to the paralytic son, take courage. So anywhere there's italics, it varies from the King James. So that's a neat resource if you're really, really into Wesley's work. And it's nice that it makes it easy to compare it to the King James Version to have a feel for how Wesley interpreted and translated the New Testament compared to the primary translation of his day. And the vacuum's right over us, so I hope it's not too loud. But if I don't record this video now, it's just not going to happen. All right, last one. This was quite a find. This was one of the, in terms of just cost and being something very new, this was one of the more incredible finds I've had recently. The Artscroll English Tanach, Stone Edition, the Jewish Bible with insights from classic rabbinic thought. So, from Artscroll. Artscroll, you've maybe seen some of their Bibles if you follow some YouTubers. I know one of the Tims has featured some of their Bibles. I can't think of his last name, but these are very expensive, and there's a lot of them. They're like single books, and they have the Hebrew as well. This is just the English translation. So this is Jewish, so I should step back a second and say this is Jewish, so it's just what, if you're Christian like me, you would call the Old Testament. But this does not have the Hebrew, so it's just the English translation. That it's from a conservative, or maybe I think it's more correct to say Orthodox, rabbinic Jewish perspective. If I'm getting that wrong, let me know in the comments. But it has the text, it has book introductions, and it has notes. So it's very interesting because it's going to offer some different perspectives than other things I have. Obviously, different than Christian Bibles I have in terms of how it interprets things or views things, and it provides that rabbinic perspective in some of the notes. It's also different from other Jewish Bibles I have. Like I have the Oxford Jewish Study Bible, which is very academic and probably more, it's not an Orthodox work. So this is something, definitely a lot more different and unique compared to other books I have and Bibles I have in my library. So this, I forget what this was selling for, brand new, but I got this. They were charging $8, and it was 25% off that day. It was at the MCC thrift store, so I got it for $6, and it's like new. I wish it didn't have the tabs. I don't like these, but for that price, no complaints. It's the kind of thing I wouldn't have picked up, except I found it for $6. So, yeah, really cool find. Anyways, that's it. That is all I have to show in terms of the Bibles. So, thank you for watching. If you have anything you'd like to share, any comments on any of these, let me know. I'd love to hear it. It's great to be doing a new video, and I'll always love hearing your comments and interacting with thoughtful people here, and I've been fortunate that there's been some great people who stop by and check out my videos. So thanks. Give it a like if you enjoyed it, please. And if you'd like to see more and you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so. There will be some other new videos after this one to cover other items I've picked up. So thank you. God bless. We'll see you for the next one.